Okay, picture a criminal court where the goal isn't really for lawyers to win or lose, but for everyone, the judge, the prosecutor, even the defense, to kind of work together to figure out what actually happened. It sounds different, right? Well, that's the core idea behind Germany's justice system, and today we're going to dive into how this completely different approach works.
And really, this one question is the key to unlocking the entire German approach. It totally reframes justice. It's not a battle between two sides anymore. It's more like a collective investigation. The system isn't asking, hey, who made the better argument? It's asking, what really went down here? And that fundamental shift changes absolutely everything.
So to really get this, we need to compare two totally different philosophies of justice. See, most of us are used to what's called the adversarial system, the kind you see in the US and the UK. But Germany follows an inquisitorial model, and believe me, the differences are huge. Think of the adversarial system as a boxing match. You've got two lawyers slugging it out, each presenting their version of the facts, and the judge is just a neutral referee making sure they follow the rules. The whole point is to win. The German system? It's way more like a team putting together an investigative report. The state, led by the prosecutor and the judge, is actively digging into all the facts, both for and against the accused. The goal isn't to win, it's to find the objective, capital T, truth. And just so you know, all the details we're exploring today come straight from an academic paper that really breaks down this whole process. We're sticking to the facts here, to how the system is designed to work. So how does this whole search for the truth even get started? Well, it all begins with the investigation, and this is where you immediately start to see just how different things are. You see, in the German system, the prosecutor's job is so much bigger than just arguing in court. Right from the get-go, they are the master of the investigation. What that means is they don't just build a case against a suspect, they are legally required to direct the police to uncover all the relevant facts, even if those facts help the suspect and hurt their own case. The process is super methodical. It kicks off with a suspicion or a complaint. The police gather some initial info, but then, boom, the prosecutor takes complete control. And the most important thing that comes out of this stage is a single, massive case file. This file has everything: witness statements, expert reports, evidence that points to guilt, and just as important, evidence that points to innocence. This one document is the foundation for the entire rest of the case. So once the prosecutor looks at that file and decides there's enough to move forward, we get to the trial. But if you're picturing a dramatic courtroom showdown from a movie, well, you gotta think again. A German trial is a much more collaborative and honestly analytical process. Yeah, forget about surprise witnesses or lawyers pulling some last-minute evidence out of a hat. The main event, the real show, is the court itself, the judge or judges leading this systematic examination of that big case file. They're the ones asking most of the questions, talking to witnesses, to experts, to the defendant, all with the same goal: to check the file and get to the truth. So who actually makes up this court? It's not always just a bunch of legal experts in robes. At the local and regional levels, which is where most trials happen, the bench is a mix of professional judges and lay judges. And these lay judges are just regular citizens, like you and me. And their role is a really big deal. The reason for having lay judges is pretty simple. It's about citizen participation. They bring common sense and a real-world perspective right into the courtroom. But here's the kicker. They're not just advisors. They have the exact same voting power as the professional judges when it comes to the two most important questions. Is the person guilty, and what should the sentence be? Now, while this whole system is focused on truth, it's also incredibly practical. It understands that not every little case needs a full-blown public trial. And this commitment to efficiency is perfectly shown in this really unique feature they have called the penalty order. A penalty order, or Strafbefehl, is pretty much what it sounds like: a trial by document. For a minor offense, a judge can look at the prosecutor's case file and issue a proposed conviction and sentence, like a fine or something, without ever holding a public trial. It's all done on paper. And the benefits here are massive. I mean, this process is super fast, and it saves a ton of time and money for everybody involved. It stops the courts from getting totally bogged down with minor cases, and it lets the accused person handle the whole thing quickly, without the stress and publicity of a trial. But wait, what about the defendant's rights? Well, the system has this really important safeguard built right in. If you get a penalty order and you don't agree with it for whatever reason, you just object. Simple as that. The moment you object, the penalty order gets tossed out, and your case automatically moves to a normal, full, public trial where you can defend yourself. The choice is completely yours. So let's pull all this together. What are the big ideas that really define this approach to justice? What's the takeaway?
It really boils down to four main things. First, the number one goal, the guiding star, is always finding the truth, not winning a fight. Second, the state is an active player, an investigator, not just a referee on the sidelines. Third, efficiency is baked right into the system with clever tools like that penalty order. And finally, the community is a key part of the whole process through the lay judges, making sure justice actually reflects what society values.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. Each system has its pros and its cons, right? There's no single perfect answer. But looking at the German model really makes you ask yourself, what is the ultimate point of a trial anyway? Is it to find a winner, or is it to find the truth?